Preach. For a minute there, I thought you were going to say Generation X. I don't know why. I've been watching a lot of wrestling recently, so maybe DX got a little in my head. Or maybe the porn store. You know, I haven't been there in forever either.
They both suck.
Actually, they're not. It's not even a porn store anymore.
Which one?
Generation X.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's a strip club now.
Is it really?
It really is.
I've driven past it recently. I didn't even notice the change. It still says Triple X on the outside.
Yeah, it's still Generation X. For those who don't know, that's a porn shop here in Charleston. And yeah, well, it used to be a porn shop. I used to go there with my ex-wife. We actually, I met Stormy Daniels there.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. She was doing a signing.
What?
There.
What was she signing?
She was signing
Molds?
posters.
Posters.
I brought a copy of the 40-Year-Old Virgin because I wanted her to sign that, but she was only signing posters.
She wouldn't sign that?
She was signing the most gross things on her posters too. We wound up throwing both of the posters away. We're like, this is kind of weird. But her tits were like as big as my, as like literally as big as my head. It was pretty crazy.
Jesus. Looking
back, and that was that was probably 2010, 2011.
It's a strip club now. Like nothing on the outside states that it's anything different.
Yep, it's a strip club. I haven't been in it since it's become a strip club.
How'd you find it was a strip
but a lot of my friends told me it was a strip club, and then I drove by it once, and then it was confirmed.
Well, you do know that if you go a little further down, where there's like a self-service gas pump station on the left. It's like
self-service pump station.
Yeah, it's one of those. There's no attendant. It's
yeah.
And then it's towards Ashley Phosphate end of the road. And if you turn right next to that, you go around the bend there. There's a building with a big red door. It's called Silk Stockings. It's not a strip club per se. There's per se. It's a cat house. And it's been that's its current location. It's been apparently it'll sit up in one part of town for a while, and then somebody get tired of it, and the cops will run them out. Then they'll go like they were downtown. They got ran out of downtown. So they're in North Charleston. They're probably gonna stay in North Charleston because I don't see people in North Charleston having a problem with that. You know,
yeah.
And, from the higher ups on down, I don't think anybody's gonna really complain. But anyway, fun fact.
Yeah, the more I know about my city and the denizens of the night.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, honestly, we really, me and my ex though, we would just usually just go to the store and look around, but like we really didn't go to Generation X that much. We went to this one called the Chateau Experience, just because it was the most like grossest porn store you could go to.
It's got an actual theater inside.
It's got theater and booths.
Yeah, and booths. Yes, that get mocked.
So like
regular basis.
There's people there who get paid, and their job title is officially jizz mopper.
Yeah,
and on top of that, like it's just so weird. Like you'd be browsing through whatever DVDs, the millions of DVDs they had there.
Oh god.
And then you'd see a guy come out of the back, the back area completely sweaty and everything, and you're just like, oh my god, I just knew that dude just cranked one out. And it's just the weirdest fucking feeling.
It's a little like I don't know if it's exciting or it's unnerving. It's definitely kind of a thrill to be in there because you feel like it's definitely worse than a porn store. Even though it is, I wouldn't say
a thrill. It's not like I'm going in there thinking, yes, I'm going in there.
No,
dude's gonna be jerking off all around me.
Not like that. Right, thanks for making it gay, but I didn't mean it like that. I mean, like you kind of get your heart pumping and kind of like I don't know if I want to be here or not. Kind
it's like
a flight situation.
Yeah, the horror movie situation. You're going in there. She like
get
adrenaline
pumping because you're like
you go in there and like and then you can hear the
Yeah.
Oh, you hear the videos playing and everything, and you're just like, oh my god, I don't want to go down this hallway. I'm going to get raped.
Me and my wife were there one night, and with a couple of how do you say that? A friend who
friends
couples.
Oh, it's like a couple dates.
Yeah, it was a couple date. And we hit the porn stores because that's what you do as couples. And we ended up at Chateau. And that is the night that my wife learned what a hermaphrodite is. she had no idea that thing existed. She knew the word, but she didn't realize that it was a penis and a vagina. Like, it totally blew her mind.
Did she meet a hermaphrodite that night?
No, she just saw it on the porn cover, and she was like in her 20s. This is after we were married, and like blew her mind. I'm like, because she saw the cover of the porn, she goes, "What is that? It's a girl, but what is that coming up on top?" I'm like, well, it's not a unicorn horn, so yeah. Like, seriously? She's like, that's what a hermaphrodite is? I was like, what did you think it was? Like,
yeah. What did she think it was?
What did you think it was? I think she was just like a she-male, like a man, a lady boy.
It's an offspring of the troglodyte.
Yeah,
some kind of ancient cave creature.
Maybe, yeah. But that was definitely interesting. I actually in my Tinder experiences, one of my lovely Tinder angels was a porn star angel, and she was the manager at Chateau. We never actually fully went out, because I liked her. She was very attractive, and like for my league, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
And but the whole fact that you're in the chateau all day, and occasionally when the security guy was late, she would mop and stuff. I was just like, I don't know that. I feel like if we held hands, I would have to really, really wash them out. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be
holding hands with, you'd be holding other people's babies in your hands.
Exactly. I was like, just if I couldn't hold hands, and imagine I couldn't probably kiss her, because I just feel like you'd have to shower really well before we went out, just because. Well,
generally that should be a rule of thumb to begin with.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It was just different, because I'm like, you're there all day, every day. I'm like, yeah. And she had this one story about they have regulars. I mean, go figure. But she's like, I walked in one night, and one of the regulars had a jar of honey, and he took the honey on his finger and put it in her mouth. He goes, here, taste this. Like, shoved it in her mouth as soon as she walked in the door. I'm like, why do you have a jar of honey in a porn theater?
You gotta, it's a theater. You gotta bring all sorts of refreshments.
Yeah, they didn't sell popcorn, so I'm gonna bring honey. I'm like, it raised so many questions in my mind, and I think that story was the reason I was kind of like,
he probably put his dick in it.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of why I really had hesitations with that one. I was like, I don't know, you're just kind of too close to the edge there. Kind of like a stripper, it's fun to see them, but you don't really want to date one, you just kind of feel like it's just
that would be the people who date strippers definitely don't have insecurity issues, because I could imagine that would be terrible for anybody who has any sort of trust issues to know that basically her whole thing is to sell her body and to let people, to in some instances, touch and everything,
or bite, which you can do, just not if their bouncers are looking.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah,
that's another story. But moving on.
Yeah, we're gonna go for something that's kind of lighthearted, definitely sexual in nature, to something a lot sadder. I mean, we're recording today. It's September 11th, and
I feel you're right. We need to touch on that. I mean, 2001, right?
It's 18 years ago.
18 years ago?
Yeah, the kids who were born on 9/11 are now officially adults.
Well, you can buy cigarettes. You can't buy beer.
Well, they can buy cigarettes in certain states.
Well, that's true.
Texas and Ohio, you have to be 21 now to buy cigarettes.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I'm sure you can still buy a Juul.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. There's health issues there, too. But, yeah, where were you on 9/11?
Well, probably the same as you, because we're about the same age.
Yeah, but everybody remembers that exact moment.
I mean, I was in middle school at Oak Brook Middle. I was in Coach Pelton's social studies class. I was about to say social security. Social studies class, and the teachers or the principal, whoever, went on the loudspeaker and they were like, whatever you do, don't turn on the TV. Which is a really just odd random announcement to have, but the teacher actually listened to them, kind of went around it, circumvented it, because he definitely just, and since they told us not to turn on the TV, he turned on the radio, so he wasn't breaking their rules.
No, but I mean, you are curious. I mean,
he turned it on to Howard Stern.
Which is appropriate.
Which is appropriate for 8th graders, yes. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about the World Trade Center being
Did you know what that was?
No, I didn't. I was just very closed-minded, and I didn't know anything outside of really Charleston. So when I heard World Trade Center, I just started thinking of Wall Street, and I was like, for the longest time, I was like, how did they get a plane into there? Like, because I could tell from the images I'd seen of Wall Street that it was a pretty close street. So
you heard trade in the name. You were thinking
I just assumed Wall Street, yes.
Gotcha.
And I was completely wrong. And then, getting home, it was a half day, but by the time I got home, the buildings had already collapsed. There really wasn't much to do except stare at the live feed on every single channel.
Every channel. From
MTV to Food Network, they were all playing the coverage.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it affected so many people.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it was.
It's the first attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and the deadliest attack, and also probably the most. I would say, I want to say live, because I mean obviously Pearl Harbor. I've read about it, but I still don't know everything about it. But I would assume that it wasn't like. Not everybody had TVs, and I'm pretty sure they weren't doing like news covering it. Whereas 9/11, it all happened live.
It unfolded, yeah.
Like it unfolded in front of millions of TV screens, and the thing is, it happened early in the morning here. So even like it was maybe the start of the afternoon in London, but for most of the world, the rest of the world was awake too. So everybody was watching. It was this huge, huge event.
A lifetime event. I was in 9th grade in Fort Dorchester. I was in Mr. Byers' physical science class. I remember we were in there, and another teacher came in and said something to him, and he just immediately got like this freaked out look on his face, and turned around and turned on the TV, and it didn't have to really go far. It was pretty much going on to every channel, and he had turned it on, and we had seen when he turned it on, the obviously the first plane had hit. But we started watching it, and then as we were watching it, we literally saw the second plane come in and hit it. I mean, that was something you don't forget seeing it, and definitely interesting. Like he said, it was like a half day. Like they really wanted people out, and especially because we had ROTC there. I remember they shut down. Nobody was going to wear the ROTC uniforms because they were scared of any other possible terrorist attacks and the mistaking, ROTC kids. Because you don't know. You see uniforms on people like in another country. You're not going to know the difference. It looks like a military thing. But
it's like, let's attack the military people at Fort Dorchester High School.
But I mean, that
was
the
absurdity of it.
That was the knee jerk that day.
Everybody,
nobody wear your uniforms, and it was like even the ROTC instructors. But I remember, like you said, getting home, and it was like at that time, the rest of the night, I just remember seeing like Rudy Giuliani walking through the rubble, and just kind of disbelief. I mean, I don't know why I remember that particular thing. Like, he was like just, people obviously were still trapped, and there were rescue people doing this, behind him, but he was just kind of, I remember seeing him in the middle of this just literally rubble, just standing on top of it and just shaking his head, just like, what do you say? What do you do? I mean, is definitely crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely
something that stays with you.
Yeah, it definitely stays with you. It's
Sorry,
the day that lives in.
You?
Yeah, no. It's just a little tired.
Back to the gay thing. Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Getting you back to the gay thing, you insensitive bastard.
What are you talking about?
You made me sound gay earlier.
Oh, no, you made yourself. That was not anything that I've done. But yeah, I guess we should probably get off the sad subject. Obviously, rest in peace to all those the 2,700 plus people that died. And we're still talking about it 18 years later, so obviously we will
we're still talking
never
about Pearl
forget.
Harbor.
I brought up Pearl Harbor. Well, you brought it up too.
Everybody brings it. My dad says he's a Pearl Harbor baby because he shares the same birthday.
Well,
he said he was the bomb.
No, Jesus. I mean, no. Well, there's probably a whole bunch of people now that don't even know Pearl Harbor is even real.
It's still in the history books. You come through it at some point.
I mean, I've been through Twitter feeds that when they re-released Titanic in 2012, that people were like surprised that Titanic wasn't just a movie. They didn't know that it was actually a real event.
Seriously?
And not only that, I mean, I don't know if you've been
teaching in schools nowadays. Like,
just to show you how out of touch and out of loop. I mean, have you been following the whole thing with Post Malone the past couple days?
No.
Well, you know Post Malone of the rapper?
Yeah.
Well, he came out with his new CD and he had Ozzy Osbourne on a track, and so Twitter's been blowing up recently with people thanking Post Malone for bringing such new up and coming artists like Ozzy Osbourne out into the fold.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's a ton of people who have no clue who Ozzy Osbourne is and think that Post Malone was shining a spotlight on such a... No, see, but people don't even know about that.
The Osbournes. There was a whole show on...
There was a whole reality show.
Yeah.
And they didn't know. They thought
Ozfest, and he has his own
festival. He has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame, the Rock Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a ton of people on Twitter tweeting about him that didn't know who he was. Thought Post Malone.
He was even in that Justin Bieber commercial a couple years back. Remember that?
He was in the Ghostbusters movie 2 years ago or 3 years ago. He had a cameo.
Did he?
When they go to bust up the
that's
the rock
right,
concert.
The rock concert. Yeah. That's right. And people still don't.
Yeah, people say it. So
I mean, I don't expect people to know his repertoire or things like that. But I mean, at least don't be an idiot and think this is like some new up and coming talent.
Thank you, Post Malone, for shining a light on this new talent.
I know. And like it's even that great. I mean, his voice hasn't changed. It's still squeaky as ever. It's only getting squeakier. So it's not even a great new talent. If it was a new talent, his voice is like so run down now. It's not even that great anymore. I don't even see how that's up and coming. But there's so many problems with that. We just got to move on.
Yeah.
I'm just that's aggravating.
Yeah.
What's wrong with kids today?
I knew you'd get a kick out of that, so I had to break that to you.
Black Sabbath.
Well, nobody knows who that is. Yeah.
What? War Pigs. Come on. Oh my God. You're giving me heartburn. This is giving me heartburn. Jesus. He was even a character in that movie The Dirt about Motley Crue on Netflix. All these kids have Netflix. They've seen that fictional band Motley Crue on Netflix.
Exactly, yep. That completely fictional band. So obviously Ozzy Osbourne was fictional too. Maybe this new singer Ozzy got his name from that movie.
Maybe he took it from the Netflix movie. That's what I would do. I mean, it's a lot smarter than Post Malone putting his name into some kind of algorithm.
Exactly. So yeah, that's got to give a shout out to that new up and coming singer Ozzy Osbourne. I think you'll have a good career, kid.
I think you have a good career. You just gotta, slow down when you're trying to give interviews and talk normal. You notice that? I mean, obviously, if you don't know who Ozzy Osbourne is, you might as well not listen to this part right here. But the whole when he's talking in interviews and when he's singing, it's like two different people.
Yeah, no, see, normally when he's talking, I don't understand a fucking word he's saying. But when he's singing, I can understand what he's saying.
Straight, clear, like almost a completely different voice.
He should just talk, and just make himself like a freaking musical.
Sharon, I need a sandwich, and you could make me one. That'd be nice.
Exactly. I would pay to watch that. Bring it back.
Bring back the Osbournes.
Bring back the Osbournes.
Osbournes the musical. Oh man, God, that's a show you haven't heard about in years. I remember used to sell like toys at the Osbournes in Sam Goody. That's another name you haven't heard in years. Remember those stores?
Well, I heard it on Strangeland. Oh God, no. Stranger Things, I think. Wasn't that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had one in the mall here, like up until
we did. Yeah, it's about 2004. Yeah, I remember that. They were overpriced.
Oh yeah, way overpriced until they went bankrupt.
Went out of business. Then they weren't priced at all.
No, they were clearance and everything. That's when I shopped there.
I'm sure this is a thing really with all malls around America at this point, but the malls in the 90s were like fucking popping.
Oh, they were booming.
There were so many good stores.
Malls are dying, and it's depressing to me because you shop at a mall, but a mall is more of also like a social outing. Like you get out of the house,
you'd go out with your
around.
friends. And now it's just a place for old people to go at 6 o'clock in the morning to jog.
Walk, power walk.
But no, because I can remember, for instance, the mall near us called Northwoods Mall, and looking back at some of the stores that were there, my favorite stores were KB Toys, the Disney Store, FYE.
Well, before FYE was Saturday Night Matinee.
Yeah, it was Sam Goodies. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a couple others.
Boutique.
Yeah, EB, Electronics Boutique, which became GameStop.
And Babbage's.
And then
we had two. Remember, we had Electronics Boutique and Babbage's. I want to say.
Yeah.
Before they all became one company.
Exactly.
And then there was 3 different music stores at the same time.
Yeah, and now literally all the stores I just mentioned aren't there anymore.
There's no entertainment store.
No.
In Northwoods Mall. You can't buy DVDs and CDs anymore. It's internet. It's really killing the social experience. The social network is making it so you don't have to really be social in person. It's really crazy. And it's sad. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to be able to find anything you want to find online and buy it. But there was something special about going into a store and happening upon something you didn't think you would find there, that CD or that VHS, or that, I remember when I found WrestleMania 3 on VHS, I was like, oh, and it was amazing. I went home and watched all 3 hours of it, up to the Hulk Hogan Andre the Giant finale, and just going, oh my God, how cool is this, and but you know what I'm talking about. When you find that thing, you go to the store and it's like, oh my God, they have one of these, or KB, especially when the Power Rangers craze. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And they had bins full of Power Rangers, and they had yellow and black, and you just that was all they would have. You're digging to find that one Red Ranger at the very bottom, and
exactly.
You're fighting off all these adults who are doing the same thing.
And
everybody's just going crazy over it.
It didn't help that the boxes were I don't know why they made the Power Ranger boxes triangular.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? The original ones?
Yeah, that was a terrible idea.
I'm just why?
Yeah. Then the original ones were honestly crap toys, but it's kind of the toys they make now.
I wouldn't say they're crap toys. Those, they're those things have been through hell, with me, and
they last, but
they
they're
last.
Just not, I don't know, they're just big and bulky. I like the smaller, the flip heads, remember? You could morph them.
Yeah, press the morpher.
And the head would rotate and stuff like that. I never got any of the Zords. I always wanted them. I think I had one.
I had the Megazord.
It's hard when you only have one. When you have the left leg.
We're gonna take down these bad guys.
Yeah, the bad guy. They're just all.
Hey, but you got the leg,
Megazord,
just kick him in the dick.
Yeah, exactly. The Megazord just kicks. That's the only part I have.
You got to make do.
I still remember when those were popular, and the kid brought one in for show and tell, and he changed it, and I was like, "Oh my god, it actually changes to the leg!" You know, it was like, I was like, "I have to have that." But yeah, it's depressing, man. Because like when I was like middle school, late middle, like 8th grade, my mom had this thing like where every Sunday, like after church, we would go out to the mall. My dad would take a nap, and we would go out to the mall and just, for a couple of hours and walk around. She'd shop, whatever, and I'd just stare at the same CDs over and over again because I was so indecisive, and I had like $3 and it cost $25.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, like, well, how can I get this? Like, I taught my mom into giving me the other $26 I need to purchase this.
Yeah.
Remember when DVDs were that expensive?
Yeah.
Like at one point, that movie Drugstore Cowboy, I wanted to watch it so bad. It's a Gus Van Sant movie. And it's I know.
Artsy fartsy,
but it was like $35 for the DVD. And it's not
shit,
even a Criterion Collection.
Okay, I was about to say, because Criterion.
No, it was a straight regular DVD. It didn't
no
have
features,
no thrills, no frills, and it was like $35. I was like, could never bring myself to do it. Now it's like $5 on demand.
Yeah, if you get it at Walmart for $3 in the $3 bin, you just gotta go all the way dig through it.
I mean, it's funny how things have changed like that. But I mean, that's why you don't have entertainment stores in the mall anymore, because everything's online, like the Apple Music and all that. You got the Amazon Prime for movies and TV shows, whatever you want.
I mean, video games are starting to be the same way as well.
Mm-hmm.
And GameStop's been flirting with bankruptcy for a while because, I mean, most people now are just buying the games digitally.
Well, hell, I mean, talk about bankruptcy and something that you can't buy digitally. Toys R Us. Toys R Us went out of business, and you can't.
Well, see, I knew
you can't download a toy.
I knew that was coming.
You can buy it. Yeah.
I mean, I was an employee at Toys R Us from about 2013 to 2015.
Yeah, so you like Michelle, you had the inside information.
I had the inside track on that, and the only reason I knew it was going under is because I could see how the company was being handled. Like, all the regional people weren't doing their jobs. When I sent an email to corporate and the regional people saying, hey, you could fix things, make things better by doing this, nobody even listened to me.
That was just deteriorating from the inside.
So
it had nothing to do with business overall.
I mean, the business obviously didn't help that they just weren't selling as much as they used to, but it's a lot due to the practices that they were doing and their unwillingness to adapt. Yeah. And even when people were trying to help you adapt, they didn't want to listen to it. So I left in 2015, and then sure enough, 2-3 years later, they officially went under.
They came back, though.
Well, they're coming back, yes.
Yeah.
They're building a store in Texas and New Jersey this year. They're supposed to open more next year, but it's going to be a lot smaller stores as opposed to the giant stores of our time.
Let's face it, like even though our Toys R Us here off Rivers still had a giant storefront, the inside was meager. Like the aisles were thinner. They like a lot more of it was like storage in the back.
Well, yeah, they really don't,
much,
and they really didn't. I mean, honestly, they don't need that many toys to add variety because most kids aren't playing with toys anymore. That's iPhones and tablets and technology, video games.
It's killing their creativity, though. I mean, you gotta develop your imagination. That's kind of the whole point of toys, was to entertain and develop your imagination, you know? I mean, if you're just, tech savvy, I mean, it's a good skill to have considering where we're going, but at the same time, you're not going to be creative as it comes to it. You on your phone again?
I am on my phone.
You're on your phone again. Because we're talking about tech savvy. Kids today, they don't play. They just have their iPhones.
They do. And I do too. I honestly, I don't know what the hell I did back in the day. Like, you think I mean, we take the phones and everything for granted now, but it's like
oh god,
there was times where we didn't have this stuff, and now I'm trying to figure out like what did I do with all my time. Like, I mean, I guess I watched TV more intently and played games, but like, you know, what did I do when I was on the toilet taking a shit and everything? Because like. Well, I did something. I mean, I probably read the backs of shampoo bottles over and over again because I know.
Well, people used to keep magazines by the toilet and stuff like that. I mean, I never.
Very
did,
true.
I remember seeing it in people's houses and stuff like that, and thinking that's a strange way to wipe your butt. But,
well, when you run out of toilet paper, I mean,
yeah, man's got to do what man's got to do. But have you noticed that the correlation with the way phones are now with. You go in the bathroom with your phone, your 10-minute shit turns into like a 30, 45-minute shit.
Oh, yeah.
like nobody ever, you didn't used to do that, except for my grandfather, except for he would read a novel. And sometimes he would go in there, put the seat down, and just sit there and read his novel, like pants on the whole 9 yards, not even pooping. It's like, you could have picked the worst chair in the house to sit in the whole time you're reading War and Peace, you know? It's like, okay. But like, I always thought that was weird, but now I find myself going in there and my butt's getting numb because I'm like 45 minutes have gone by. I don't even realize it. I'm like, oh, crap.
Oh, crap. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that's one of those things. It's like, you know, you start going on Facebook or YouTube and then you disappear into the interwebs and then you're like, oh, shit.
And then you think about something, like, oh yeah, I meant to look at this. Or
that happens to me a lot. Yeah, it'll be like, you'll be watching something, you'll even just hear something, be like, oh, let me look that up.
Yeah.
Or you'll watch a movie and be like, I wonder is that actor still alive, or what are they doing?
Think about it later, and you're like, you know what? I meant to look up Gary Busey. Yep, still got fucked up teeth.
yeah. It's like back then, you didn't know. You just had to be like, well, there's Gary Busey.
Yeah. If you still see him on TV, he might still be alive.
Yeah.
You know? But it's funny how technology has jumped quite a bit in such a short amount of time. And it's, like I said, it's good and bad. It's nice to have, like you said, I don't know what I would do, you know, when I'm supposed to be working and I'm not, you know, without my phone. But, you know, at the same time, like, I miss the way shopping malls used to be, how, you know, because I mean, it's like not just like everyday shopping, but like at Christmas time as well. Like, remember how festive the malls were and stuff like that? It's like they still kind of try, but it's just not as big, it's not the same. Santa still comes out, you know, but they've like redid the whole thing. It's much simpler now. It used to be this whole big set that he would sit in and stuff like that at the mall, and yeah, it's just kind of sad to see all that kind of go away.
Yeah, that's the times we live in. And speaking of time, we're already out of time. We're 30 minutes.
Until next time.
I've already gone. Wait! Don't just.
No?
We're not. We've got a treat for all of you guys out there.
Oh, do we?
Before to really close this out this week. I don't know if we mentioned it. We probably didn't on the last podcast. I don't even know if we had went to it by that point. But this summer in June or July, we had actually did press at GalaxyCon Raleigh.
Oh yeah.
And Generation Nowhere was doing some press, and we got an interview with Billy Zane. So
Mr. Billy Zane.
So
he was a great interview too.
He really was. He was a really down to earth, cool dude. I was pretty intimidated leading up to it, but in the end, it turned out really well, and he was
super nice, and he kind of like made everything relaxed and just flow. It was he took the intimidation out of it. You know,
exactly.
I felt the same thing going up to it, but he kind of, I don't know, I got a feel of comfortableness around him. You know, kind of leveled out and was just a gentleman.
Exactly, and now
a well-dressed gentleman.
A well-dressed gentleman who said I was well-dressed, wearing my Guns N' Roses T-shirt and black pants.
He's a very, very polite man.
He's a that's very putting it nicely, man. But yes. So
cool
we are gonna close out this episode of Generation Nowhere with our interview with Billy Zane, from GalaxyCon Raleigh.
Enjoy.
Hey guys, this is CJ and Paul with FanFest News, and we are here with one of the most talented actors I've ever had the pleasure of watching in many films, Billy Zane.
You're very kind, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, FanFest Newsies. How are we?
I had first question is probably a subject you get asked about a lot, Titanic. You're obviously a very fashionable male, and
Are you, sir?
I try, but I do want to ask. How was it getting back into the early 1900s? How was the fashion and all that? Was it fun? Was it really hot and that kind of stuff? Like how was it?
Well, they were really meticulous on the show. The detail was what was so impressive. And curiously, the tuxedo that I had could only have been put on if you had a dresser, which really kind of affirmed the fact that if you couldn't afford to have someone do that, you got no business wearing one of those monkey suits. So and the guy who was my dresser his father dressed the king of Denmark or something like that. Like literally, it was like he came from a line of dressers. And it also forced your head up. Like that stiff collar made you look down your nose at people. It was very interesting how the fashion itself was actually manipulated to create a sense of separation from other people and other classes, for that matter. It was pretty interesting, but also chafed a beard when it came in. End of the day, you're like, for the love of God, why?
But right on the tail end of the Titanic, the end of Holmes and Watson was one of the highlights of that movie for me. How did that come about?
Will Ferrell there's a writer. I have to appear in one of his movies. I think every year.
Really?
No. Playing myself. I gotta play me in Will Ferrell movies or Ben Stiller films.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, you show up in a lot of movies as yourself. How is that to really not have to get into trying to be somebody else? It's just playing an exaggerated version.
I don't know. It's the hardest character to play. I can always forget my lines. And let's see. It's weird to get the love for playing yourself often more than 30 years of character work. It's kind of like, all right, that was easy for a cameo where you kind of walk on, you're like, Billy Zane, what up? You're like, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Pretty hard stuff. Tough to get out of bed for. But I got to say, the real excitement that I have by participating in these cons is you good people. I'm blown away by the commitment and the love and the tolerance and acceptance. Talk about diversity. We left here yesterday and it was like 2,000 people who really kind of forgot what they're wearing and didn't really, by that point it was just like going about their business. I felt like I was walking through a scene in Guardians of the Galaxy in the outdoor plaza. Like we were like on an alien planet, and there was like 2,000 people just checking their Facebook or buying a coffee or talking about, putting no reference whatsoever in their extraordinary visage. And I was like, my God, this is it's the best. I love it. I've been doing this for about a year. It is my absolute favorite thing. And it's all about the fans, and I love the fact that it's really about the community. I know you come here to maybe geek out on a few movies that we've done, but really I love the fact that it's about you and meeting everyone else and getting to know people. And I think I'm a big fan of geekdom. I'm a closet geek myself. Don't let the shiny exterior fool you. But the fact that there's just this love of an extrovert expression as opposed to a collapsed introverted one, which a lot of our tool sets promote. I love the fact that there's an expression that is generous and is outward facing, and I celebrate you and look forward to spending more time with y'all.
Speaking of geekdom, just one last thing. The Phantom.
Yes,
was
sir.
my childhood.
Was it?
Loved it. How was it for you? I mean, it looked like it was an extraordinary movie, on locations and stuff like that. I mean,
the Phantom, I think, is my favorite character I played. It was a comic I had collected years before, and loved the fact that he was super humane, not superhuman. Demonstrated restraint and disarmed people. He never killed. He always have like bing, like it was like that classic, and he used roundhouses and kind of John Wayne fighting style. It wasn't all jiu-jitsu'd out, or it wasn't too much kung fu.
Right.
And the fight and the way we shot it was as close to the spirit of the comic as we could. And I'm a big fan of a well-adjusted white hat hero and not an anti-hero. I think was brave by its nature of its differentiation. He was happy to have animal friends and live in a cave and loved his job, and he was like, this rocks, what's not to love? That's why I think he was really cool.
And my last question is going to go to one of my favorite roles of yours, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, The Collector. Love that movie, terrified me as a child. How was it working there? I mean, I know Pinkett Smith was just starting out there, and it had a terrific cast, William Sadler, yourself. Just how was it? Because it looks like mostly night shoots, I'm assuming.
No, actually, we built all those the exterior of that place was all built on a stage. It was in an old hangar in Burbank, and it was August and hot as heck, and it was a trippy time. But that whole thing was built on a stage, on an interior. Wow. And as far as a character, probably one of the most fun experiences I had. They gave me a lot of rope, and I made, I ad-libbed a lot, and they seemed to encourage it ever more. I was like, are they really letting me? I kept pushing. I go, is no one stopping me on this? It's like, can we really keep going? I just kept pushing it, and they were like, no, more. I'm like, okay, let's go. It wasn't as comedic on the page, but they just kind of were, I just thought a demon who could employ anything, like, Aladdin's genie to make a point, and, it will just conjure what he could, in order to seduce and, get his, but I love the fact that they let it just go to levels of almost musical comedy. Yeah, I had a lot of fun on that.
Awesome. Well, we do want to thank you for taking some time out.
Sure.
Is there anything that you'd like to promote that you got coming up?
Yeah. Right now, I'm in one of the episodes of The Boys, Seth Rogen's new series, which is on TV. It's hysterical. A great comment and variation on the hero landscape. It's pretty fun departure. You can also catch me in a first season and 8 episodes of something called Curfew. That Sky One produced in England and now is airing on Spectrum and Charter. It's a great series produced by the Peaky Blinders producers and directed by some of the Black Mirror directors. So it's a real fun genre, almost like a love letter to John Carpenter. It's a very 80s kind of feel, a lot of synth and cool music, needle drop music in there, and wicked gunplay and crazy. It's like if you took Death Race 2000 meets 28 Days Later, because there's like a zombie-like kind of feature, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because there's, mayhem and copious amounts of substance use and ridiculous outfits, and you mashed it up into a hell ride. It's Curfew, and I highly recommend tuning in. And I'm producing and going to be starring in a movie about Marlon Brando building his ecological compound in Tahiti.
The islands?
Yeah, on Tetaroa. It took place between 69 and 75. And that's awesome because it's a real loving celebration of that man's genius. Not the drama that surrounded his personal life per se, but a real happy window that he was trying to, expand upon his social activism, because he was, known for, the man walked the walk for civil rights, big time, indigenous rights for the American Indians, but also, I wasn't aware of his commitment to environmental rights, and even in '69, the foresight he had towards global warming while dealing with an atoll was amazing. So he promised to build this compound with zero carbon footprint and closed loop. He was using a narrative then that was just like unheard of, but again, a testament to the man's forward-thinking prowess. And it's pretty cool. It's funny. It's called Waltzing with Brando. We're going to be shooting that in probably November.
Awesome. Okay, so it seems like there's no shortage of Billy Zane coming to the big and little screen in the near future, which isn't a bad thing at all.
Thank you.
And who knows, maybe if you get some time, you might get on the next Titanic when it comes out.
The real one that they're about to launch?
Yeah.
If they'll have me. Me and boats, man.
Well, thank you so much.
A great pleasure. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Stay super.